So in this two-part video, we're going to look at operations with integers and operations with rational numbers. So first off, let's start with integers. So what is an integer? So an integer are all the counting numbers, their opposites, and 0. The set of integers is given the symbol z, which you don't need to worry about, but what you need to know is that examples of integers are 0, -1, +1, -2, +2, and so on. So what I'd like you to try now is to solve the following example. 3 squared minus 6 times 5 divided by 3 plus, in brackets, 4 minus 1. Pause this video and try to solve this expression without a calculator. So hopefully you recall that you would need to use order of operations. And if we are to use order of operations, we want to start with brackets where possible. Go to exponents, then look at division and multiplication, whichever comes first when you read from left to right, and then finally addition and subtraction. And again, whichever comes first is good practice. Now that you're in grade 10, we have what are called terms. So this is one term, and each term is separated by addition and subtraction. So 3 squared is one term, 6 times 5 divided by 3 is another term, and then 4 minus 1 is a third term. Notice what I didn't highlight were the addition and subtraction signs. So at this point, that means you can take each term, evaluate them independently, and then put this all together. So starting with 3 squared, we know that's 3 times 3, which is 9, minus, well, notice it says 6 times 5 divided by 3, so reading from left to right, we start with 6 times 5, which is 30, and then we're going to divide that by 3, and then plus, and again in brackets it's 4 minus 1, so 4 minus 1 is 3. Using order of operations, we're going to start with the division, so we have 9 minus 30 divided by 3 is 10, and then plus 3. And now we have 9 minus 10 plus 3. And if we evaluate that expression, we end up with the answer of 2. So evaluate the following two expressions. Again, pause the video, then come back and check your work. So for our first expression, we have -9, and then it says plus minus 7. Remember, if we have a plus and a minus, we just change it to a negative. So we have -9 minus 7. And -9, so we're down 9, we lose another 7, we're down to -16. Let's go to the next one. So we have two terms here again, the -12 and the minus of -4 squared. So we're going to leave the -12 the way it is, and since we need to follow order of operations, we're going to deal with the exponent. And -4 squared, let's think about that for a minute, that's -4 times -4. If we multiply two negatives, that gives us a positive, so we get 4 times 4, which is 16. So -4 squared is 16. So there's -4 squared, that's its answer. But we still have that minus sign that was in front of it. So now we have -12 minus 16, so we lose 12 and we lose 16 more. We're now down to -28. All right, again, try to solve the next two expressions. Pause the video, come back and check your work. All right, for the first one, what we're going to do is we're going to deal with the numerator and denominator separately. So notice in the numerator, I need to start with multiplication, and in the denominator, I need to start with the brackets. So I get 3 minus 10 in the numerator, that's 2 times 5. In the brackets, I have 5 plus 2, so that's 7 squared minus 48. 3 minus 10, well, that's -7. 7 times 7, that's what 7 squared is asking you to find. So we have 7 times 7. That's equal to 49 minus 48. And we're left with -7, and 49 minus 48 is 1. So we're left with -7 over 1, and that is the same thing as just -7. And finally, our last integer expression, -4 squared minus 3 squared plus -1 all cubed. So let's start with the -4 squared. Remember, that is -4 times -4. So that gives us 16. So we dealt with the first term. We're going to deal with each of these separately. All right, the next one is 3 squared. That's 3 times 3. Notice I didn't put the negative in there because it's not in brackets with the exponent. So that's going to be minus 3 times 3, which is 9. And then plus, the last one is negative 1 cubed. So that's negative 1 times negative 1 times negative 1. Since there are 3 negatives, this answer must be negative. And 1 times 1 times 1 is 1. So we're left with plus negative 1. So this gives me 16 minus 9 minus 1. Plus minus gives us a minus. And 16 minus 9 minus 1 is equal to 6.